Good morning. Today we're going to take a closer look at perimeter and do a word problem related to perimeter. Just a reminder of what we did the other day. Perimeter is the measurement of a line which forms the outermost boundary of a shape. So if you have a triangle, you're going to add up the side lengths to find the perimeter of that triangle. So let's take a look at a more complicated word problem that deals with perimeter. So here we have two rectangles, and they have different perimeters, obviously, because one's way bigger than the other. The perimeter of the smaller one is 16 centimeters. The difference, that means subtraction, between the two perimeters is 10 centimeters. What might be the dimensions of the two whoops. What might the dimensions of the two rectangles be? All right, so let's figure what we know here. So we know, I'm just gonna make this smaller. What do we know? We know that the smaller rectangle has a perimeter of 16. Don't know its dimensions. We know that the larger one is 10 centimeters bigger. The perimeter is 10 centimeters bigger. So by that information, we can actually figure out. So we know that this all the way around is 16. I add up these four sides, and it's going to be 16. So whatever it is. So I'm just going to put like a little, make this a little fancier, I guess. So whatever it is, the four sides have to add up to 16. So it makes it a little easier because we can just do a guess and test for this actually. It makes it a little easier to try and figure it out. So I'm just going to go plus plus 16. So we know I'm just going to have to shift this all over, make this a little bigger. There we go. So we know that those, when you add them up, is going to give me 16. All right, those four sides. All right. Now, we know, actually, this one as well. The perimeter of this one is 10 centimeters bigger than the other one, which means that I can just add 10 to this, and I'm going to get the perimeter of this. So all I have to do is go, okay, well, if that's the case, then this is going to be equal to 16 plus 10, right? So it's fairly easy then. I'm just going to put this one down here. It's fairly easy then to figure out that the perimeter of this one over here is just going to be 6, right? So we know that this one now is 26 because it's 16 plus 10 more, all right? So it's 16 plus 10 more. I just got to shrink this a little bit because it's sort of getting in my way a little bit. Do. Let's just make it bigger. This one too, sort of getting in my way. Okay, so now we know that we have both perimeters. All we have to do now is a bit of a guess and test, try and figure out if we can actually determine what the measurements are, because by dimensions, remember, they want the side lengths. So they want the side lengths of this rectangle and this rectangle. That means the width and length. Okay, so I have to figure out four numbers that add up to 16. However, keep in mind that the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. That means two of these numbers have to be equal, and these two numbers have to be equal. All right, they have to be the same number. So I can put in just a guess and test. So let's try, I don't know, let's try 8. So let's say I want these side lengths to be 8, which means that this will be 8 and this will be 8. So now I need to find two other numbers here for these two sides. Well, does that work? It does not work. Why doesn't it work? Because 8 plus 8 is already 16, which means these would be 0, which obviously is not possible. So I'm going to get rid of those 8s, and I'm going to try a number that's more reasonable. When I look at this side, I go, well, this is probably a little bit more than half of this side. So why don't I try 5? Try 5. Well, if this is 5 and this is 5, which means that these ones are 5. Then that adds up to 10. 10 from 16 is 6, which means these ones must be 6 divided by 2, 6 divided in half, which is 3. All right, so now let's see if that works. That is that. Does that add up to 16? 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. 13 plus 3 more is 16. So I have my answer for the first triangle. I know that the perimeter, the measurements of the first triangle are 5 by 3. Right? When we talk about dimensions, we go 5 by 3, or you can also say 5 times 3. Sometimes they put an X in there, a times sign to mean by. All right, so we figured out the first rectangle. We know this one's 26. Now, there's some things that this rectangle and this rectangle have in common. You'll notice that this side length here is pretty similar to this side length. In fact, it looks almost exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the guess that maybe this is 5. All right, so that's 5, which means this is 5. All right, that's 5, and that's 5. Then this becomes quite easy because I've got 10, and 10's a good benchmark number to subtract from anything. So 10 subtracted from 26 will give me whatever I have left over, the difference. 10 from 26 is 16. Now all I have to do with 16 is divide it in half, because these two numbers have to be equal, because opposite sides are equal in a rectangle. 16 divided in half is 8. So now I can plug my 8 in there, and now I can add it up to see if it's correct. So I'm going to add it this way, actually, because 5 plus 5 is easier. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 8 is 16, plus another 8. That doesn't work, does it? 8 plus 8 is 16. Sorry, what am I doing? 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 8 is 18, plus another 8 is 26. Sorry, it's early. So that works out then, right? And there's our second rectangle. So what you might notice with doing these is actually, because these are the same and these are the same, it becomes really easy to actually determine the perimeter of a rectangle just by taking this one and doubling it, and taking this one and doubling it, and then adding up your answers, right? So if I was to go, oh, what's the perimeter of this rectangle? I don't have to go 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8. I can just go 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 times 8 is 16, 10 plus 16 is 26. So that's just a little trick that we're going to look at a little bit later. So that's the lesson from math for today. Little word problem. There is 4 questions for homework that are basically just determining the perimeter of different shapes. And you can use a calculator if you're having trouble with the numbers. And enjoy the rest of your day.